Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching In News by Drishti IAS. So in this video, we will be talking about a recent attack which has been initiated by Islamic State-Khorasan on Russia. So we will be talking about this particular news and we will see why there is this enmity between the Islamic states and the Russia, or you can say what is the equation between these two. Okay, or specifically speaking, we will be talking about the Islamic State Khorasan. So this organization, that is Islamic State Khorasan, where it is active and what is the background behind it, all these things we will be discussing in this video. So let's see Russia ISIS equation. So let's start. In this video we will be discussing few points. That is, first we will start with the news that is essential for us, why it was in news, and then we will move forward with the IS Khorasan and Russia equation. We will see what is the equation between in these two entities. Then Islamic State Khorasan, specifically we will be talking about this, what is Islamic State Khorasan, what is IS or Islamic State, first we will talk about, and then why this entity has been active recently in Russia. Okay, afterwards propaganda, recruitment and threats. So we will talk about these things and then a prelims practice question for you, so which you have to attempt and answer in the comment box. So let's start with the discussion. First we will see that why it is in news. So for many Russians, the Crocus City Hall shooting of March 22nd in the outskirts of Moscow, in which at least 137 people were killed, brought back memories of the period of terror. When we are talking about this period of terror, they are basically saying that in 1990s, okay, when these Chechnya militants were active and they were doing some terrorist activities in Russia. So that was the time. Recently, now after 1 or 2 decades, they have seen such a drastic terror attack. Okay, so on March 22nd, there was a terror attack which has been done on Russia's theater. Okay, now IS claimed the responsibility for the recent concert hall attack. So basically, IS, the Islamic State, had taken the responsibility. Despite this, Russia was trying to establish some kind of links with the Ukraine, but that was not the case. Even US has confirmed with their informations, or you can say intelligent informations, that it was done by Islamic States, and they have issued a warning fortnight ago regarding this. Okay, but still it happened. Today Russia is facing a new jihadist threat, that is Islamic State. Okay, so coming to the Islamic State, or let's talk about this Islamic State. The Islamic States was founded in midst of Syrian civil war in 2014. So when we are talking about this situation, before going ahead, I would like to tell you certain things here. Here, there is an enmity between Russia and Islamic State. Why? Because in 1990s, okay, there was this Chechnya militants. They were attacking Russia. Okay, they were attacking Russia. There was terrorist attack which was happening at that point of time. Then in late 1990s, what happens, that Putin comes to power. Vladimir Putin comes to power. In his manifesto, he has said that he will check all these terrorist attacks, and they have done it. They have crushed this attack. Okay, that was one thing. Then second thing, mostly these militants were from Islam. Okay, or you can say they were having this particular community. That is, other than that, when this happened, they have crushed the rebellion, or they have crushed basically these terrorist activities. Okay, now afterwards, what happened in 2014 in Syria and Iraq region, there comes this organization that names itself as Islamic States of Iraq and Syria, or you can say in the shorter version, that is ISIS. Now, goal of ISIS was to establish a caliphacy in this particular area. You know that from when we are talking about the Islamic religion, there is this idea of caliphate. Okay, so they wanted to establish caliphacy in that particular area. So you can say that this Islamic States or Islamic States of Iraq and Syria, they were extremist organization. Okay, so they tried to have their own foothold in that particular region, but that happened. They started in 2014, but in 2015 to 17, what happens is that Russia comes to rescue of Syria. At that point of time, Bashar al-Assad was having his government in Syria. and since this Islamic State organization was quite active there, and they were trying to topple his government and make it a Islamic State, or you can say establish a caliphate over there. So Russia came for his rescue, and then in 2017-18 you can say that they basically eliminate this ISIS from that particular area. Okay, now the people or the trained militant who were belonging to this particular ISIS, what they did was they resorted to an area where already there is this organization, that is Taliban, which was working. So most of the people, they have come to Afghanistan. Okay, so they have come to Afghanistan, and recently in 2021 when USA left Afghanistan, Taliban came into power, and this particular group, or you can say this IS-K, that is the new group where they named themselves as IS-Khorasan region. So basically now this group became active because now there is a rule of Taliban, okay, and they are also a extremist group, so they started doing some terror attack. So after 2021 we have seen that there is a rise in the terror attack. These Islamic State-Khorasan are nothing but those militants, or you can say those extremists who were there in ISIS, but then after Russia crushes ISIS in 2017-18 in that particular area of Syria, they comes to Afghanistan region, and now they are operating from this particular area. So now this is the second thing. And third thing is that when we are talking about West Africa, there are various countries we are also which are also seeing Islamic states, or you can say extremism or Islamic extremism in that particular area. Now Russia is quite active in that area as well. So now ultimately you can say that since 1990s, after Chechnya, then in 2014, 15, 16, 17, then this ISIS, and now you can say that in West Africa, Russia is quite active. Okay, because of all these things, what happens? You can ultimately say that there are mostly Russia, IS equation. You can say that there are three reasons. First is Chechnya issue. Second is ISIS in Syria, and you can say that Russian intervention in Syria. Okay, and third is Russian intervention in West African countries. West African countries, when we are talking about, most of the countries who have seen that there was this military coup, etc. So Russia has supported these military coups over there. Okay, these coups are against the government which are already there, and these governments are somehow being affected by these Islamic organizations. Okay, now since there is a military coup, now military came to power, and military is saying that they will be against the Islamic states, or the you can say Islamic organizations. Now Russia is quite active over here. Okay, so these are the three reasons because of which this organization, that is IS, is considering Russia as its inherent enemy. And now since 2021, when Taliban came to power in Afghanistan, their power increased, and now they are going for such attacks, you can say. Okay, now coming back to our discussions here. So IS was founded in 2014. It wanted to topple President Bashar al-Assad and capture Damascus, the seat of power of Umayyad Caliphate. So they wanted to, establish their own caliphate over there. And IS sees Russia as the key enemy because Russian intervention in Syrian civil war in 2015, favoring the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. Okay. Now in 2017, when the IS seized the Syrian city of Palmyra, Russia's Wagner, this is a private army Russia owns, that is Russia's Wagner, along with the Syrian troops liberated the city. So in 2017, IS tries to take control of that particular area, that is Palmyra. Okay, but Russian troops, these private troops, that is Wagner, and the Syrian troops collaboratively, they liberated the city. Now today Russia is also supporting regimes in West Africa such as Mali, which are fighting different jihadist groups including affiliates to IS. So basically Russia is trying to fight this you can say Islamic extremism, and because of which they are considering Russia as an inherent enemy. Okay, so we have discussed all these things. Now coming to the map, these are certain areas where these organizations are quite prominent. So here you can see that first this coast or Horn of Africa, okay, and then this Western African region where we have said that Russia is quite active. Okay, other than that, there are certain Mediterranean you can say these areas wherein these particular organizations are active. These pink marks are basically your ISIS, and then these black marks are basically Al-Qaeda. Okay, and here this is the area. Okay, so this area is quite prominent. Here Al-Qaeda is quite prominent, and here you can say in Iraq, Syria, these areas, even ISIS is quite prominent. Okay. Then this area of Yemen, you must have heard about it. So all these are certain areas. Now here you can see this is the area of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Here mostly you can see that IS-K is quite prominent. Okay. So these are the areas where this disturbance is there. Other than that, despite this particular region, you can say some effect, some presence is there in the South China Sea, or you can say Philippines. Okay. Now moving further, Islamic State Khorasan. We have talked about the Islamic State. Now coming to the Khorasan. Okay, so Islamic State Khorasan, the Afghanistan-based armed Sunni terrorist group. Okay, this is Afghanistan-based. As I told you, most of the people from the Syria side, they have come to this particular area in Afghanistan. After the physical caliphate of the IS in Syria and Iraq was destroyed in 2015 to 18, several trained IS jihadists moved to Afghanistan, where they set up an operational base. Okay. Now in the Islamic State's lexicon, IS Khorasan is a vilayat. Vilayat means a province that covers the geographical area of Afghanistan and the nearby areas like Central Asian republics. Okay. After Friday's attack in Moscow, the IS claimed it was the part of a wider war between Islamic states and countries that are fighting Islam. Okay. So basically this is an extremist group which is trying to fight the countries which are against the Islamic extremism. Okay. So that is about IS Khorasan. So you can say that when we are talking about the Islamic State, it was active in Syria and Iraq region. When we are talking about this Khorasan, IS-K, this is active in the Afghanistan region. Okay. Now coming to the next point, that is related to what is the propaganda. So recently what is happening, that they are coming up with this videos. They are trying to recruit various militants. Here you can say in recent months, IS has released anti-Russia propaganda videos claiming that Russians has blood of Muslims on their hands in Afghanistan, Chechnya, Syria, referring to the past intervention which we have talked about. In Chechnya we have seen, in Syria we have seen, in even Afghanistan. You must know that before the breakdown of USSR, Russia was present in that Afghanistan area as well. Okay. The IS Khorasan is largely made up of militants from the Central Asian republics. So what is happening is that there are various youth which are unemployed and they do not have idea with what they are doing with their life. So they are trying to make some propaganda videos and recruiting these Central Asian people. Okay. Now IS Khorasan uses these videos to recruit radicalized Central Asian youth into a terror cell. Okay. So that is the propaganda here. Now what is the expanding threat? In recent years we have seen various attacks like this. In recent years, this IS Khorasan has emerged as the most powerful branch of IS network, because we have seen that in Syria we have destroyed them, then Russia has destroyed them, and then in Iraq there is a minute presence. Mostly in the map which we have seen here, you can see most of the areas except for this particular area of West Africa and this area of Afghanistan, and here otherwise Al-Qaeda is quite active, and then ISIS has been active in the small pockets. Okay. So but the IS Khorasan region has been most prominent recently. Chaos in West Asia, base in Afghanistan, and foot soldiers from Central Asia are all helping the group expanding its activities. Okay. Then we have seen that in West Asia we are seeing these military coups, etc., and there are various groups which are active over there. Then we have base of this IS Khorasan in Afghanistan and foot soldiers from the Central Asia. As I told you, they are recruiting soldiers from Central Asia, or you can say militants from Central Asia. Okay. Iran was attacked in January. Russia was attacked in last week. Any other country in Eurasia could be next. That is the expanding threat. So the countries like Russia and countries in Eurasia should be quite aware about it, and they should fight terrorism in the form which they are presenting. Okay. So that is about the equation between Russia and ISIS, which we have discussed. Mostly I have covered all the areas which can be important from your prelims as well as mains point of view. Now coming to the practice question related to your prelims. Where does the IS-K operate as an operational base after the destruction of physical caliphate in Syria and Iraq? Options are Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. So you have to choose the most appropriate answer. Then you can choose the answer and reply in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.